never taught to put yourself first. In fact, you were taught the opposite. Be agreeable, be selfless, be available. Say yes, don't disappoint, don't be selfish. And slowly, without realizing it, you built a life around everyone else. Their expectations, their needs, their comfort, while your own life waited. You told yourself, I'll focus on myself later, once things settle down, once I help everyone else first. But later never comes, because the moment you make yourself optional, the world treats you that way. And that's the truth most people avoid. No one is coming to prioritize your life for you. If you don't do it, no one will. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something most people don't want to accept. If you don't value yourself, the world won't either. Because people don't respect sacrifice, they respect strength. And when you constantly put yourself last, you don't look kind, you look replaceable. That's why no matter how much you give, it never feels like enough. Because you're giving from a place of neglect. You're pouring into others while emptying yourself. And eventually, there's nothing left. Not energy, not clarity, not direction. Just exhaustion. And you start to feel it, that quiet frustration, that resentment you don't want to admit, because deep down you know the truth. You abandoned yourself, not all at once, but slowly. Every time you said yes when you meant no, every time you ignored your own needs, every time you chose approval over alignment. And now you feel disconnected from your own life because you've been living for everyone else. But here's where everything shifts. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish, it's strategic. Because the version of you that everyone depends on requires you to be strong, clear, focused. And none of that happens when you're constantly drained. You can't build a powerful life on a weak foundation. And a weak foundation is what happens when you neglect yourself. That's why investing in yourself changes everything. Not just financially, mentally, emotionally, physically. Because when you invest in yourself, you increase your value. And when your value increases, your options increase. Your confidence increases. Your standards increase. And suddenly, you're no longer dependent on anyone else to feel complete. That's power. And power changes how the world treats you. Because people respond to how you carry yourself. If you treat your time like it doesn't matter, so will they. If you treat your energy like it's unlimited, they'll keep taking it. If you treat yourself as an afterthought, they'll never think of you first. But the moment you shift that, everything changes. You start saying no without guilt. You start protecting your time without explanation. You start choosing yourself without apology. And at first, it feels uncomfortable because you're breaking a pattern where your worth was tied to how much you gave. But here's the truth. You don't earn your value by sacrificing yourself. You prove your value by respecting yourself. And respect starts with boundaries. Boundaries that most people are too afraid to set. because they fear losing people. But what they don't realize is this: the people you lose were benefiting from your lack of boundaries, not valuing you, using you. And when you stop overextending yourself, those people fade, not because you changed, but because access to you is no longer unlimited. And that's a good thing, because your time is your life, and every time you give it away carelessly, you're giving away a part of your future. That's why you have to become selective. Selective with your energy, selective with your focus, selective with your environment, because not everything deserves access to you. And once you understand that, you stop chasing everything and start choosing what actually matters. That's when your life begins to change, not overnight, but permanently, because you are no longer reacting to life. You're directing it, and that's where real growth begins. When your actions are no longer based on pressure, but on purpose. When your decisions are no longer based on fear, but on clarity. When your life is no longer built around others, but around who you are becoming. And here's the deeper truth Machiavelli understood. People don't treat you based on who you are. They treat you based on what you tolerate. So if you tolerate being overlooked, you will be. If you tolerate being disrespected, it will continue. If you tolerate being last, you will always be last. But the moment you stop tolerating less, you start receiving more. More respect, more attention, more opportunity. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. Because you raised your standard. And the world has no choice but to adjust. So invest in yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. Prioritize your growth, your health, your mindset, your future, because no one else will do it for you. And the life you want will never come from neglecting yourself. It will come from building yourself, day by day, decision by decision, until one day you look at your life and barely recognize it, because everything changed the moment you decided, I come first. And from that decision, everything else finally fell into place.